right, looks like I am finally live here, and it looks like there are no technical difficulties this week, but there's still plenty of time for that because I am just realizing that I didn't turn on my correct studio lights, and so we're going to go ahead and get that up and running here. That looks a bit better. Wow, it's amazing. Technically not a technical difficulty or technical glitch. That is just user error. And, well, for those of you watching on a podcast, that does not matter. And when I say watching, I mean listening. Words are hard. So it's a good thing you don't have to listen to me because, this is all visual. I'm doing an interpretive dance here, just waving my arms around, making sure everything is all disc golfy and fun and having a blast here. Welcome, everybody, to Joe's Disc Golf Podcast with your host, Joe. That's me. We're just having a blast here, just having a grand old time, enjoying the beautiful weather before the storms roll through here later this week. Big news, big update. Yours truly has advanced to the Sweet 16. Yes, in the Match Play Madness or Match Madness, Meet Your Match Madness. I believe that was the name of it. It doesn't really roll off the tongue. I say Match Madness, but I believe the official name for our little unofficial, unsanctioned match play tournament is Meet Your Match Play. I don't know. It's whatever. It's a fun time. Managed to pull one out, winning it up 2 up Schoaf Park in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Not my best showing, although I'd like to say that I had a whole bunch of other issues, which I'm going to see a chiropractor. Got a couple ribs out, and my SI joint is all off. If any of you have ever had any of these issues, you understand how difficult it is to function. And I managed to play through. I felt like Michael Jordan, just not as tall, not as cool, not as rich, not as athletic, not as awesome. But I did win. So there we go. That's how I feel like Michael Jordan. Be like Mike. That's back in the day in the 90s. Be like Mike. And yeah, that's how that is going. Managed to pull that out. Again, not my best showing. Only shot 5 down at that course. But I used up all my good karma, all my positive tree love, everything there. This past Saturday when I played the Clash at the Canyons layout at Delwood Park in Lockport, Illinois, ranked in 2020 number 5 in the world, and this year in 2021 ranked 8th in the world. It is a fun course. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun playing it. I did have a few complaints with it that had more to do with some of their signage and some of their. I'm not used to a course that leaves their alternate pin positions in all the time. So when I would look at my UDisc and kind of glance at the map, I didn't actually look at the map. I had UDisc. I'm looking, how many times have we done this? Even if you're playing a new course, you got UDisc, somebody mapped it out already, you're going, oh, okay, it's right there. Oh, that footage kind of matches up. That seems about the right distance. Well, I was throwing to A pin instead of B pin or vice versa on a couple of them. Managed to save par. I had 1 bogey that entire round. I had 12 birdies. I shot 11 down at a course I never played, which is fantastic. And that is when I looked on UDisc, according to them, that is the course record. My wife was there to verify, and trust me, if there's anyone there to keep me honest, it is definitely her. And that was with throwing to a couple wrong pin positions to save par. I did, like I said, my few complaints were just unclear with some of those. Like some of them, I couldn't even see the other pin position just because it was perfectly hidden behind a tree. But hey, you know what? I digress. That was a fantastic outing. I had so much fun throwing that. However, I hope that I will be able to throw that. And there is something to be said about not knowing the course, which means you don't know all the hazards there. There were several holes where I just ripped a full drive, went at it, attacked the basket, and lo and behold, my disc is sitting 2 feet, 3 feet from the edge of a 10-foot drop off. So ignorance is bliss sometimes because I was able to attack the basket and really get some nice birdies. I definitely shocked a few people that were standing around. They have a few nice sweeping right-handed turning dog legs ish. I wouldn't say dog leg, but right-handed curve just the whole way. Just a very loose C, I would say. And because I have a forehand, that shot was easy. I was thrown from the long position on that one and parked the basket. Shocked the hell out of everybody, that's for sure, because they're going, whoa, he can throw a forehand that far. Because it was like 370 ish, I think, if I'm remembering that hole correctly. And they also had hole 17 was a par 5, 700 feet, somewhere right around there, give or take. Managed to take off about half of that, threw it around 350. Took my forehand again, threw it 350. And if I had played the ground play a little better, again, not knowing the course, I wasn't quite sure. When I got to the basket, I kind of turned around and looked and went, oh, there's a massive gaping hole off on the left, which would be perfect for my forehand. And I could have just easily pushed that farther left and let it swing back. I stayed in bounds. I still did fine, but I would have had a nice little park job for an eagle, which I have good distance. I am by far no Calvin Heimberg, Eagle McMahon, Ezra Aderhold, any of those guys. So I felt like this was a very easy par 5, if that makes sense, for 700 feet or so. I'm actually kind of curious to see what that is. I'm going to pull up my UDisc and I will be able to let you guys know here in a second. But I highly recommend, if you ever get a chance to get out there to play this, then go out and do it. Okay, hole 17, long position is 667 feet. I managed a birdie because I missed a 40-foot putt, which I was on fire from my circle 2 putting. On that one, I remember I hit the rim. I was very close to getting an eagle on that one. And I, again, highly recommend, if you're out in the Lockport area, if you're making a trip and you pass through Lockport, stop off and play Delwood Park. That is so much fun. They have red, white, and blue. They have alternate positions. It's just a lot of fun to play there. I had a blast. Like, I don't know what it was. I can't specifically say what it was that made me really like that course so much. There were very distinct lines of where to throw. It was very clear, like, this is your line, or this is one of 2 lines that you can throw on this hole. It was just, I don't know, it was just fun. Like, I had a really good time. Got in the zone, just had a great time. But I guess that's enough of that. That's enough of talking about that. I best get into the title topic here, which is the Lone Star Classic. That happened this one. This was, again, that B tier that is acting more like a national tour stop. And, we had some pretty solid names here. We had Garrett Gerthy was there, James Conrad, Greg Barsby, a couple other big guys, Austin Hoop, and just a whole bunch of people. And it looked like a really fun 2 courses. They did have to change a few things. They weren't able to use the course that they wanted to for day 2 because of Houston's COVID restrictions. Not even the state or the national, but the city of Houston said, hey, you can't do whatever, wherever, here. So, that happened, but that was all right. It was a lot of fun to watch. Unfortunately, watching that, I felt so bad for Greg Barsby. He could not buy a break on hole 1. If he got a little bit of ground play, it took him 6 inches OB. There were so many times just watching him, his disc would just barely squeak over the line and be completely out. He would just nick that tree and it would knock him down. It was one of those things where, and we've all been there. We've all had those days, we've all had those rounds where we're just going and we're just like, I'm having a terrible round, but not really. Like, my lines are 6 inches off, or the ground play is just not quite helping me out there. It just, for whatever reason, you couldn't catch a break, you couldn't buy a break, you're just like, I don't know what to do. What do I do here? How do I get better? How do I make better choices when I'm hitting the lines I want? when I'm only ever so slightly just missing the line, like things that are so close that you don't know if you can purposefully change them. I felt terrible for him, but it was exciting to watch. That both of those courses look like fun. The second course was it was a backyard course, and it looked like a blast to play. It looked let's see if I can find. It was one of those where it was just like you'd think it'd be full of a lot of gimmicks and stuff like that, but it wasn't quite like that at all. It was just it looked like a really fun course. Um and it was one of those things where it was like, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's do this. Let's get it done. Let's have some fun. There's just a lot of fun, a lot of OB, some technical shots there, some things where the pars didn't quite line up to what the pros would throw, but this is more of a course where, it's not normally holding tours where you've got guys like Garrett Gerthy who can just throw over the top of the trees 400 feet and crash down. Everybody else who's playing that course is playing through the trees, playing your lines, and just having a good time. Where Garrett Gerthy is just like, nah, screw this. I'm going to throw a 500-foot hyzer shot and throw a spike hyzer right in there. Not a big deal. Let's park it. It's not a big deal. Whatever. It is what it is. But that was kind of how that went, the Lone Star Classic. I want to say big congratulations to Matthew Oram, who won that, who's been playing disc golf, I believe. He's been playing competitively longer than I've really been playing sports, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, he started in 1999. And yeah, good job, man. That was yeah, he's outstanding. He's been playing since I've been in like 4th grade, 5th grade. So he is a fantastic, excellent disc golfer to watch. Old school guy who it's just fun to watch him. He was just having a grand old time, just silently dominating the whole time, shooting lights out, and just having a grand time. But you know what else is a grand time? A new awesome experience by UDisc. Let's see if we get this up here. We've got introducing the future of disc golf scoring. This is from udisc.com/blog. That it is their new feature. It is something that will help take UDisc to the next level. It is called UDisc Paper. This is something I have never ever heard of before. It is apparently this recyclable material that comes in long strips, and it has all these weird boxes on it, 1 through 18, and then it has 4 slots where you can write the names of everybody you're playing with. And then from there, you can use a pen or a pencil or marker, crayons, anything, blood if you really want to. I mean, if you're buying those Nike shoes, hey, whatever. You could use some blood. But apparently it's made of paper, which is made out of things that are trees. I thought those were just obstacles for disc golf. I didn't know. Apparently you could do more with trees than just that. Did you know they make oxygen? Who knew? Crazy stuff. So when you're done, what you want to do is then add up the numbers in each row, and that will give you your score. Like, this is just mind-blowing. The example they have here, a new player might do math like this: 4 plus 2 plus 7 plus 7 plus 9 plus 2 plus 7 plus 7 plus 4 plus 5 plus 3 plus 6 plus 6 plus 5 plus 7 plus 8 plus 6 plus 8. And then you add that total up, subtract it from the course part, and that is how much over and under you are. God, this is ridiculous. Like, UDisc Paper has so many advantages over their digital scorecard. Like, you don't have to worry about having cell service. You don't have to worry about the battery running out on your piece of paper because it doesn't run on batteries. It must be solar. It's got to be some crazy future tech. And one of the creators of UDisc had this to say: I try not to check up on where everyone is during casual or even competitive rounds. I just want to play my game and not think about that stuff. I noticed that when using UDisc paper, that even if I was keeping score, doing all the math to figure out who was ahead and who was behind was so much work that I was never even tempted. And I agree. It's fantastic. That was amazing. So you can find UDisc paper at udisc.com. And I'd like to point out that this article was posted on April 1st. So there you go. Another fantastic topic that we have to talk about here that I did not have in the docket here. We have this was posted through Innova, and they are coming out with the much anticipated, the highly demanded Halo Polecat. Now, back when I was throwing a mixed bag, Polecat was my number one turbo putter. Yes, I can turbo putt, and I'm actually pretty decent from about 2025. And of course, again, Halo Polecat. I don't know why you wouldn't want this. The design looks so cool. Let's see if I can find a proper image. Yeah, but when I was looking for that, it was amazing. Here we go. Let's see. View image. Let's see. View image. There we go. There. So, Halo Polecat. Who would not want this Halo Polecat? Fantastic stuff. Absolutely amazing. Glorious. Pink around the outside. Got the white inside. Got a rainbow stamp Polecat on there. Fantastic disc. I mean, the straight edges, if you're learning to try to turbo putt, I highly recommend using the Polecat. And again, this was posted on April 1st. Our final topic about all these new posts and new things that are coming out. Zach Melton, one of the top left-handed disc golfers in the game today, said that in partnership with Dynamic Discs, he will be releasing a line of left-handed discs. Now, I don't know about you, but I've noticed that all the discs out there are definitely right-handed, and it has been so difficult to watch one of my left-handed friends attempt to use these right-handed discs. It's just impossible. Just the way they have to grab the disc, the way they have to throw it, completely unnatural. Just looks absolutely terrible. I don't know why this hasn't happened sooner, but Zach, you're going to make a fortune. Dynamic discs, this is a totally untapped market, completely devoid of left-handed discs. This announcement came again April 1st. So there we go. That was some fun right there. But you know what else was really fun? And I don't actually mean really fun. I mean really heroic and really awesome. Disc golfers save man from burning building in Indianapolis. So I have not played this course. I've played a course very close to it. Apparently, right as people were about to tee off 2 weekends ago, the annual March Monster Disc Golf Tournament in Indianapolis, Indiana. I actually had considered signing up for this, but had a conflict with my schedule in that I was playing a tournament that was 10 minutes from my house. And nothing against that, but let's be real, people. If you had a choice of playing a C tier 10 minutes from your house or a C tier 2.5 hours from your house, like, I'm going to take the one that's closer. But apparently, right before tee-off, people noticed that a house was on fire, and there was a man actually leaning outside the window trying to get out. People were, AMs and Recs were, or intermediates and Recs were on hole 7 waiting to tee off, and they thought that they saw a house on fire. They ran over. People were yelling fire. There was a guy that was trying to get out. He was kind of trapped on the second floor. They unfortunately didn't have a ladder tall enough. They were able to get some wood and help the guy slide down. He was having a hard time getting out. There's a ton of smoke, and it was just not very good. Fortunately, they were able to save the guy. A couple other people went to the neighboring houses and were able to tell them, hey, house is on fire. You should probably evacuate because you don't know if it's going to jump to either side or not. And that was a very good job. Austin Jones, a disc golfer, volunteer firefighter, and U.S. Army infantryman, sprung into action with other players. He had this to say. Me and 3 others proceeded to look for a way to get him down. Out the window was the only option. We found a board that was long enough to reach the window, and the guy who was stuck was able to climb his way onto the board and make it down. We were able while we were holding it. Um, Fortunately, everybody escaped injury. The guy was in shock. He had a hard time walking after. He was overall doing all right. I mean, all things considered. Let's be real here. Your house was on fire, and that was just really lucky there. They said that because of their quick actions, they were able to save this guy's life. So it was really nice to see that uh, disc golfers jumping into action. Overall, I mean, I found that the disc golf community, we're all fairly nice people. Like, I mean, going out, I didn't know where I was going really when I was at Delwood Park, and everybody was kind of helping me out, pointing me in the right direction. It was a lot of fun. I ran into some people playing for the first time. I kind of gave them some tips when they asked for help. I don't give out advice unless I'm asked. They did ask. And it's nice to see that even in a major situation like this, that disc golfers will jump into action. And the good thing was, none of the guys were stroked for missing their tee time because they ended up delaying the tournament by 30 minutes. I'd say saving someone's life in a house fire is a great reason to delay a tournament for a little bit, a half hour. That's really not, that bad. I think that was a really cool thing for them to do. I'm glad that the man was able to survive and was able to um, get out. Um, it was a great time. It was a great thing that these guys did. So, good job, disc golfers out there. Remember, always be nice to everyone else around you. It's always fun. It's always a nice thing to be kind to your fellow human beings. Do unto others as they'd have do unto you. So, moving from one bit of bad news to another bit of bad news, the 2021 Beaver State Fling has been canceled for multiple reasons, including storm damage and pandemic uncertainty. Now, you're probably thinking, like, Beaver State Fling, that isn't for a while, isn't it? Yes, you'd be correct. June 10th through the 13th in Portland, Oregon. But back in February, I do have a few pictures here. Back in February, unfortunately, there was a massive ice storm that rolled through Portland. Where did those pictures go? I have somewhere around here our pictures. Right here. If you're watching this, you can definitely see what's going on here. Massive ice storm came through, knocked down tons of trees all over the area. It looks like a huge disaster zone. You can see the pictures here. There is a giant oak tree just upended here. We have more pictures that don't want to. Okay. Apparently, this does not want to switch to them. But they had other pictures from around the town. Whoa. Okay. They had. Whoop. Okay. They had other pictures from around Portland where it just looked awful. It looked terrible. Where I don't know, like trees were knocked down, and it was just you could see like here the massive oak tree fell on an elementary school. Fortunately, at the time this hit, there's no one in the building. But you could just see all the damage. It looks like a tornado ripped through the town, but it was just this huge ice storm knocking over trees, onto buildings, onto houses, all over ball fields and forests. They said that when they were able to finally get to the park and get to look at the disc golf course, that it looked like a logging company had been through there and just demoed everything. It was about a week, I believe, that it was able before they were able to get out there. They had to take an axe and their own chainsaws to get trees off the roads to be able to even get close to there. And because of this, um, they're unable to get the course into any sort of playable condition before June. Um, with with the way disc golf is with the park and everything, Portland's got enough other issues. So getting a park and a disc golf course into a playable condition is like bottom of the list. They need to take care of all of their different issues. They had utility poles snap. They had a lot of people without water, without electricity, without heat. They had plenty of other issues to go on. So getting a disc golf course fixed is like low priority. So it was very sad to see that unfortunately the Beaver State Fling will be canceled for this year. They're looking forward to having it next year. They're hoping that it will happen next year. The PDGA Director of Operations, Mike Downs, had this to say. This is heartbreaking. I'll never forget the first time I walked onto the property of East and West courses at Milo. The place had just a magical feeling to it, and everyone that has been there knows exactly what I'm talking about. From the numerous PDGA National Tour champions that have been crowned there, to its involvement in one of the most competitive pro world championships to date, Milo is a one-of-a-kind disc golf destination. Our heart aches not just for the Oregon scene, but for the entire disc golf community. So unfortunately, like I said, many pros have already said this. I know Ricky Wysocki was pretty bummed about not being able to play the Beaver State Fling, but it is what it is. Hopefully, they'll be able to get the park into a playable condition, be able to get everything back up and running next year. Hopefully, there are still enough trees left to be able to keep the course of what it was. Now, if the carnage is as bad as it sounds here, Milo might not be what it has been for many years. It might take a while for all the trees and everything to grow back. I'm hoping for the best. I really am. I'm really hoping that Milo will recover and it won't be that bad by next year. Hopefully, lines are probably going to change with the amount of trees that have fallen over, but with any luck, they won't have to miss too much here. Hopefully they'll be able to get everything back and get everything going. Moving on to a new section here, I'd like to talk about just a little bit here, about sidearm technique. And this is an article that was posted on the PDGA website, so you could go there and check out the full article. This was written by Scott Stokely, who was a former distance world record holder and a great forearm player. He was one of the few back in the day who could throw a backhand and a forehand, and that is what led to a lot of his success back in the day. Now, pretty much everybody has a backhand and a forehand. I mean, guys like James Conrad will always take a backhand unless it is absolutely necessary, but he is good enough to do that. And his forehand is good enough. I mean, it is better than mine, but he's a pro. So a bad forehand for a pro is still going to be most likely better than most AMs. So tip number one, and I'm going to throw in my own little commentary into this, but I don't disagree with anything here. Number one thing, you want to throw facing forward. And I think I found a lot of success with my forehand was from baseball. I played a lot of baseball growing up, a lot of second base and shortstop, so you're just kind of flinging it forward. You're pushing the ball forward, getting that short wrist elbow action there. So a lot of times what Scott Stokely has said and what I've seen players do is they make the mistake of turning 90 degrees and throwing sideways across their body. And this is what you do for a backhand. But when you try to throw sideways across your body like that for a forehand, that motion, it's not right. The reason it works for your backhand is you're building up. You're getting your legs engaged, your hips engaged, your back. your shoulders, everything is getting engaged and you're wound up and trying to unwind as you come through. So you're coming across your body, but you're pulling. It's like you're pulling a um, start for a lawnmower or a snowblower, depending on where you are and what time of the year it is. You're starting, you're pulling like that, where you're pulling across your body, but everything is building up, and this is a very powerful position. Now you try going the opposite way. Try to start your lawnmower going the opposite way. It's going to be really awkward. It's going to be very difficult, and it's just not going to work because what you're doing is you're fighting yourself. If you're doing that, your legs are moving one way and your upper body is moving the opposite direction, and it's just everything's not going to be good. You're going to put some unnecessary strain on your body. You're going to put unnecessary strain on your elbow, and you're going to end up hurting yourself. You're going to have an increased chance of hurting yourself by doing this. The next tip that he has is throw a ball, not a frisbee. So, again, this is where I think my baseball background has helped me out. And I didn't start throwing over the top like you see a pitcher or some baseball guys doing. I started out at the side. And what he says that you should be doing is a 3/4 sidearm in baseball. And this is better for your arm and better for throwing purposes there. When you throw flat, you don't lower your arm, instead you lean, and that's very true. People kind of laugh at how my run up is. I'm in a crouched athletic position, basically like I'm fielding a ground ball and trying to throw from second to first. And I have this crouched position. I try to run up and stay low. I kind of almost hop. I don't have a traditional run up with there. It wouldn't be a Brinster hop, but it's a unique look, and I'll say that. I'll try to get a video out and see if I can break that down to see what I'm doing to better help everybody. So what you want to do is just lean. The more you lean, the more it changes the angle of the disc. You don't want to be straight up. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you get your elbow out away from your body. If you keep it in nice and tight like that, you're putting a lot of stress on your shoulder and on your elbow, and you're going to have a very, very short forehand career. So that's some of the things there that you need to watch out for. You want to actually get your arm out farther. It sounds unnatural. It's going to feel weird unless you've played a lot of baseball growing up. It's going to feel really, really weird, but it is going to help you out in the long run. If I ever am throwing for distance, I'm throwing 9 times out of 10, I'm throwing my forehand. There are a few times, and this has happened recently, where I will pull out my backhand instead of my forehand because of the direction of the wind. Now, if it is a left to right wind, I will have backhand because if I throw my forehand, I have to throw it flat. I won't get as much distance out of it. And if I turn it over just a bit, the wind is going to beat it down. 99% of the time, the wind will beat the disc down if I do that. Now, if I throw a bigger flex shot with my backhand, I'll be able to play the wind. It'll catch that flight plate. It'll just cruise for a lot longer. It'll get out there, go a lot farther. But if I have a tailwind, if I have a true headwind, if I have a right to left, I will throw my forehand, and it will go farther and more accurate than my backhand. Final tip is use your wrist. This is something that is very difficult for you to understand when you're first starting this out. This is where, how do I want to say this? You want to make sure you really get your wrist into it because that's going to generate the spin. You want to, and this is what Scott Stokely says, you want to grip the disc firmly, but let your wrist remain loose. This is very, very difficult to understand at first, and it takes some time to get used to. With the way you throw, because of the way a forehand works, you will not have, you won't have as much spin. So you need to get your wrist into it. You need to get that going. You need to get that. Now, what you don't want to do is you don't want to flex or extend your wrist. And what I mean by that is flexion is taking your fingers and trying to touch them to your forehand or your forearm right there. You want to, that's like curling your fingers into a fist, into a wrist, and into your wrist and trying to touch down that way. Extension would be going the opposite way. That would be trying to touch the fingers to the back of your arm What you want to do is think about throwing. When you throw, you have your hand flat, and you want to uh, ulnar deviate, which fancy way for trying to push your pinky to the outside of your hand. That is how you're going to get that spin on the disc. It is awkward. It is kind of an unnatural feeling, but the more again you do it, the more you do it, the more it's going to feel natural. You are going to have a bad time to start with. It is something difficult. Think about when you started to learn your backhand. It was awkward. You didn't quite get your footwork down right. You didn't quite get the arm swing in the right position. You didn't, it just didn't work right for you. But slowly over time, with practice, things got better and better. Same thing with this. You're going to have to go out. You're going to have to put in the field work. And as I said before, don't keep your elbow in too close to your body. That is how you're going to injure yourself. You're going to make this form even more awkward. You're also going to have issues with just throwing the disc in general because you're going to try to keep that arm in and it's just not going to go very far and it's going to be super awkward. But it is what it is. When you're reaching back, you want to try to reach back as far as you can while having your elbow bent a little bit. Not too far, not where it feels like ridiculously awkward, but you want to make sure you're trying to reach back to get that throw. That's how you're going to generate that. And that's how you're going to get that disc moving and get it going. I recommend starting out with something decently stable, not too crazy stable, because you want to throw this on a bit of Anheuser, because that's how you're going to get more distance with this. That's just how that form goes. But overall, I think you guys will enjoy it. I will try to get a video out with that. I also still have to get reviews of the EMAC Judge and of the new Evader. I have a special edition Evader, but that's how that just goes. So I think that does it all for this round. Oh, my skip ace picks. Let's get into that here. Let's create. This is powered by Prodigy. So we're going to save my skip ace picks for multiple. Looking at past winners, again, Paul Macbeth does a good job at this course. James Conrad, after watching him at Lone Star Classic, he's still, I want to pick him. I do. But he still isn't, I don't know, he isn't quite himself yet. He just looked a little off. And I think he's still getting used to it. He has an absolutely brand new putter that just was PDGA approved. Like, when I say brand new, I mean like brand new. So it was just PDGA approved, so he's still getting used to that. He seems to be pretty confident with it, but there's still that learning curve. I think I'm going to go with Paul Macbeth because, yeah. Who. Last year, Philo did pretty well. I'm going to go with Philo. I'm going to go. How many points do I still have left? Quite a lot. How many? Let's go with this. I want Sarah Hokum and Valerie Mandajuana. I've picked her multiple times. I think she'll do all right for me. Let's go. Ooh, let's see here. We've got. This is pretty difficult. I'm trying to think of who I want and who I can afford. Two very different things here. I'm looking down here in the 10, right around the 1,000 rated mark. So let's go with. Oh, Zach Melton's usually a decent pick there. Now I have to scroll down. Who is left? And get anybody here. I'm going to have to pick Tristan Tanner. Why not? I have 1 point left over. We're going to save my picks, And go. Cool. Picked him. There we go. I don't know how this is going to go, but we've got Paul Macbeth, Philo Brathwaite, Zach Melton, Tristan Tanner. On the FPO side, I also have Sarah Hokum and Valerie Mondahuano. I don't know how well that's going to go. If you've been following me for any of the skip-based stuff, you know not to pick any of those people because they generally have not been doing very well for me. But that is what it is. Thank you all for watching. This has been a great show. We've talked about a lot of stuff, including some April Fool's jokes. Hopefully you all caught that. I really hope. But that does it for me today. Thank you all for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching the replay, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can ring that bell for notifications. I do have videos coming out a couple times a week. Unfortunately, this last week with Easter and things like that, haven't had the time that I've needed to make a proper video. Coming up in the future here, we'll have some more stuff coming out. Also, if you're listening on the podcast, wherever you get this, rate and review. It helps others find the podcast. Share it with your friends. Share it on social media. Thank you all. Don't forget to thank Treesus when you have a great tree kick. And don't forget to do a little reflection if you don't. Everybody have a great day. I've been Joe. You've been awesome. Thanks for watching.